Last straw. Ministers crush Meghan's victory as sets out huge change in UK law after ruling blunder. Meghan Markle's win in her legal battle against associated newspapers could trigger a huge change in UK law, which could see increased protections for free speech. Ministers are considering changing the law to protect free speech after the Court of Appeal ruled in favour of Meghan earlier this week. Speaking about the ruling, one cabinet minister argued that the balance between privacy and free speech is clearly wrong. They said to the Daily Mail, "The judges have created a privacy law which Parliament never voted for. MPs never agreed a privacy law because they knew it would be used by the rich and famous to cover up their misdeeds. The balance between privacy and free speech is clearly wrong. If this is what the law says, then it needs to change. It feels like we have had judge-invented law. It draws on laws passed by Parliament, but it is not what Parliament ever intended, and we should correct that." Meanwhile, human rights barrister Geoffrey Robertson gives a stark warning after Meghan's attack on the press. "This win is precedent-setting," proclaimed Meghan Markle, immediately after last week's Court of Appeal decision against the Mail on Sunday, even though the court took pains to explain that it was not setting a precedent at all. The appeal court judges ruled that this newspaper's decision to publish half of a letter from Meghan to her father had indeed been a breach of her privacy, as she claimed. Yet her win was simply an application of laws that had been developed—in fact, created, by judges over the past 15 years. And this is significant. This case has drawn attention to a dangerous increase in judge-made restrictions on free speech that increasingly prevent our society from holding the rich and powerful to account. The rich and famous were handed a new legal weapon which was relentlessly taken up by reputation lawyers. The problem, of course, is that these two rights cannot sensibly be balanced at all. Judges, for example, generally exclude any right to amusement or entertainment, or even the right to enjoy the hypocrisy of public figures. Instead, they solemnly intone that what is of public interest is not to be confused with what interests the public—a mantra that usually enables them to rule against popular newspapers. This newly developed law has had serious impact on public interest reporting. There has been a recent upsurge in threats against publishers and human rights organizations from lawyers in London catering for foreign individuals who fear allegations of corruption or human rights violations. Truth is no defense to a privacy claim, and the cost of fighting an action is a serious deterrent to exercising the right of free speech. Moreover, the right to privacy is not merely subjective, but uncertain and unpredictable. For example, the Court of Appeal said that the Mail on Sunday could potentially have avoided liability by publishing only one paragraph of the letter from Meghan's father. But which paragraph? And any selection would open the editor to the charge of cherry-picking, and where documents are concerned it may be important to see them fully in context. Then there is the question of whether the letter was truly private in the first place. As there was no trial, the evidence was never tested. This approach puts the judge in the editor's chair, a position that in libel actions judges have always declined to occupy for very good reasons. Meghan's crusade against the media would have little traction in her preferred state of residence, where the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, passed because of hostility to British sedition laws, prohibits the making of any law that infringes on media freedom. There are privacy laws in the United States, but to avoid violating the First Amendment they concentrate on gross invasions without newsworthy interest, such as publication of medical records. Their big debate over privacy will come in a different context next year, when a Supreme Court pact with Trump appointees is likely to overturn